You want answers?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Hoorah!
Radical Rant.
You remember a few years ago when Bush's drug czar said that finding marijuana possessors in jail was like finding a unicorn? I sure do.
The fact is today, people don't go to jail for possession of marijuana. I know you like to pretend it does, and there's a lot of misinformation about that, but finding somebody in jail or prison for a first-time nonviolent offender for possession of marijuana is like finding a unicorn. You find one, you will make a big story because it doesn't exist.
This is a tactic that the drug warriors use all the time to say that, there's really just not that many people in prison or in jail for marijuana, so it's really not that big a deal. I mean, it's not like we're really arresting over 850,000 people a year.
We didn't arrest 800,000 marijuana users. That's the same lie I just talked to your colleague back there about. We arrest people because they are usually involved with violent offenses, and they're involved with things like driving while intoxicated, because they have, and if it's an issue of possession, I would ask anybody here. We have a booklet if you want to see it, because this idiocy is repeated so often.
This idiocy is repeated so often. The 850,000 people arrested for marijuana charges, 89% of them on possession alone. They're not really arrested. These are not the droids you're looking for, according to John Walters. Now, that was back in 2008, and in a recent Radical Rant, I did a cover of this flyer going out from the National Association of Drug Court Professionals, written in 2011, that makes a lot of the same points. There's less than 1% of people in prisons or in jail or there for marijuana possession. It's really not something we need to worry about. So I would like to bring you this story to remind you that it's not the incarceration for marijuana that's the problem. It's the arrest itself for marijuana that is the problem. This is dated February 8th. The American Civil Liberties Union of Southern California today condemned a recent brutal beating by 2 Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies of a detainee at the Twin Towers Correctional Facility, part of the county jail system. The violent attack on January 24th on James Parker, detained on a nonviolent marijuana charge, was witnessed by ACLU of Southern California's Esther Lim, who is assigned to monitor all county jails. Quote, "We believe Mr. Parker's beating is not an isolated incident," said Hector Villagra, incoming executive director of the ACLU of Southern California. "Rather, it highlights the rampant violence that continues to plague the county's jails and demands court intervention to protect detainees from brutal attacks and retaliation. That the ACLU Southern California monitor witnessed a brutal attack in plain sight is alarming and can only lead us to conclude detainees are subject to even greater cruelty when no one is looking," end quote. That's right. This monitor there, this Esther Lim from the ACLU of Southern California, the whole reason she was there in the Los Angeles County Jail is to witness the conditions there because of a court order, because of lawsuits in the past alleging this brutal treatment of prisoners in the LA County jail system. So you've been told on, you've been busted for beating down the prisoners. They send a monitor from the ACLU, and while that person is watching you, you still continue to beat down the helpless prisoners. According to the story here, according to the report, this James Parker was face down on the ground, not resisting, helpless. According to the Esther Lim, she said he looked like a mannequin down there that they were practicing on. It didn't look like a real human being. He was so motionless. But they kept saying, stop resisting, and tasing him, putting a knee in his back, and punching and beating him as he's laying there in front of the court-appointed monitor. Again, like the ACLU says here, who can imagine what's going on when the court-appointed monitor isn't there in the ACLU's jail system? This is horrendous and wrong, and not just for cannabis consumers. No prisoners deserve to be abused like this. No prisoners deserve to be mistreated. But no cannabis consumers deserve to be prisoners in the first place. This kind of treatment is part of the punishment. This is why they talk about not putting cannabis consumers in jail in prisons for a long period of time because they realize the punishment of having to go to jail, the punishment of getting arrested is punishment enough, and it's too much punishment and it's a punishment that's not deserved by those of us who are responsible, law-abiding, tax-paying, adult cannabis consumers. There is no reason to continue this cruelty, this torture of our people in the jail systems and ruining their lives and affecting their chances of going to school and affecting their chances of getting good jobs and taking care of their families, all because they chose a safer alternative to alcohol for their relaxation, all because they chose a safe, effective, non-toxic, non-addictive herb to relieve their medical conditions, all because they perhaps believe in a God whose sacrament's a little too popular. This has to end. It's got to start in Los Angeles County. It's got to start in all the major cities and go all across this country. And those of us working here at Normal will never stop until marijuana is legalized for all adults and this cruelty ends. Thanks for joining us here at Normal Show Live. Get well, Ganja John. We missed you here on the show. For Cannabis Carry, I'm Radical Russ for the Normal Foundation, live here in Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios. Wishing you a happy day, and until next time, take care of each other, tokers.